Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today I am going to talk about 4 stages of spiritual awakening and ascension. And I just want to add that I know you could break these down into 6 or 7 or even more, but I'm trying to come at it in a more simplified manner. I also want to say these stages can all intertwine, you can keep having different awakenings and going through processes, and you can have, you can be in 1, 2, 3, 4. You can be in all of them, because you can go back and have another awakening, and as I explain, you'll see what I mean by that. And so let's just start with awakening. So let's say that's first stage. Number 1, how an awakening usually occurs. And also I want to state, this is my experience. This is what I've seen clients have their experiences, other groups, other people, other trainings, or people I follow, what research, things I've read. So this is a study, so some of this might not apply to you. So I will share as much as I can, and don't worry if something doesn't apply to you. We are transforming and our world is changing, and these 4 stages could be obsolete in another year. I don't know. We'll wait and see, right? But usually what happens to initiate an awakening is some sort of chaos or shift in consciousness. And for those of you who don't know me, I use my notes so I stay on track. And so periodically I'll go down to read, or I'll read something and then I'll explain it in my own words. And these are my own words down here too, but it just keeps me on track. So again, awakening is usually by something that's either chaos or a shift in consciousness, unexpected event, like an inner snap of awareness. But it also, so awakening can come as a very painful, agonizing, breaking down, cracking open sort of experience. And then there can also be another way that's a graceful awakening. Somehow you go to sleep, you might have a trip that you go on in your head. You might have just a natural download of gnosis from source or God or your higher self or whatever, the ETs. You might have, so there is a gracefulness, one that you can have, and then there is a more dramatic. So what do I mean by dramatic and inner snap of awareness? It's like we're going along in our lives, like every day, like every single day, kind of living unconsciously. And what happens is something like this election, like COVID, a divorce, a death of a loved one, disease, health, a car accident where you're, frightened so much or hurt badly, financial loss, war, you're abused, attacked, something you didn't expect, you didn't see coming, a family member abusing you when you had them realize that they've been abusing you when you've really put them on a pedestal and thought, thinking that, my parents would never do that to me. And then waking up one day and all of a sudden realizing that that's what they've been doing since you were a little boy. So usually when this happens, you're shocked into, or there's a graceful event. So this is awakening. So you can see how this can keep, I've had multiple awakenings before COVID hit, and then I had a COVID awakening. So you can see how multiple things can happen to you. And what happens is you when this happens, it's like you're going like, what? You know, it leaves you feeling anxious. It leaves you feeling stressed, like alone, disconnected. It's unbelievable. Or, you know, you just feel like you entered the twilight zone in some ways. You feel like the rug's been pulled out from underneath you. And then you start asking big existential questions like, why me? Why is this happening? You know, you start reflecting on it, or else you're also very emotionally tied into it, in like, you know, it's devastating to you. It's life threatening to you. It's unbelievable. You know, it's just like you can be in shock. I've seen people that's taken a very long time for them to come out of it, and to just even take little steps, like years to come out of something like that. And then others that can come sooner. Again, everybody's on a different path. There's different things for you to learn. There's different ways that you're here to learn it. Some are more extreme. It's kind of like that saying, you know, it's like, pay attention to the messages that you're getting, like the little flower, you know, hey, you need to go to the dentist, or hey, you need to rest. And instead you just, you know, keep pushing past it and thinking your body doesn't matter. And, you know, it can get you've done this multiple times, and then all of a sudden you get really sick. You get burnt out. So you can't do anything. And you lose your job because you can't sleep at night, and you've burnt out, and you're revving, and you're sick, and you have no energy to do anything. So you lose your job. There's this cascade of things, and you're like, oh my God, how did I get here? Right? And I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at anybody's experience. I'm laughing at our craziness to not pay attention to the messages that we get that are guiding us to take care of ourselves, or to watch out for this or that, or our intuition that's doing this. So you can awaken many times in your life, and go through these different processes. So let's go to, which I'm sure a lot of you have been. And so there's what happens when an awakening occurs. There's a lot of learning. But what we tend to go into now is called the second phase of this is the dark night of the soul. And so this is where you go down the rabbit's hole. This is where you don't know who you are. You don't know who you'll be. This is the in between, like that, knowing the old way of where you were, and in between the new way of who you will be going forward. So this is the breakdown before you had the breakdown, whatever that occurred, that shocked you, or was chaotic, or brought you to greater awareness to see. And now you're going to these depths that can be gut-wrenching, and to figure out what's going on. This is where you're asking the questions. So in this stage, you're asking questions, having deep reflections, awakenings. You're probably in fear. You're fear or anxious because you've never been here before, and most people don't like to be someplace they've never been before. You're researching, you're exploring, you're learning, you're growing, because I find a lot of times you're doing that because you're in some ways desperate to have answers. You want answers. What's wrong with me if you're sick, or how do I get out of this, or you're like, how did I not see this? How did I not know this? And then you go and you research that subject more. You look back on your life, you're reflecting back on your life, or you're reflecting on how your life is going to change, or you received messages in the process. So, and there's all different ways, and it isn't like everybody wakes up with the same knowledge. So you might wake up in your relationship with your family. You might wake up in your relationship with your husband or wife, or your children. You might wake up with health issues. You might wake up with financial issues. So that can be, or like a devastation of natural disaster. I don't think I read everything. Yeah. So losing everything and having to start over and deciding, it puts you in a place where you get to decide, what do I want? And that's all of it. It's kind of like a wash of your life, and you get to rebuild it. And it comes back to, like, how do you want to rebuild? What is important for you in the rebuilding? But first of all, it's like you're trying to understand how you got here in the first place. And how you weren't seeing what you're now seeing. And some of this stuff comes very intuitive. Also, I want to say it would come through an intuitive, or come through an ayahuasca session where you're getting messages, or with the transition that we're having now, with our body changing, with the information coming in through the light, etc., from the sun, that you're getting downloads of information, and you might just be waking up with some of the information that you got downloads from 10 years ago, and all of a sudden your body's, it's clicking into order, and your body just comes awake, remembering, like, oh my gosh, like, I just have this vision of my life, back in the 1800s, or I just have this knowing about astrology or physics or something that I didn't know before, or numbers, like, Robert Grant, and how everything's connected. I know one of the things for me, from a very young kid, I always thought of the world like a spider web. I didn't know that, like the Matrix, I didn't know that terminology, everything, but I felt like everything went through like a spider web, or like a matrix. It was like everything was connected, and whatever happened in one area, like there was information that would always flow. And I saw that for me in a lot of ways, like I would connect people. I was really good at connecting people. I knew who needed to meet who, and I always had a connection. I don't know how I did that. And it's almost like I had this invisible networking mind, but spider web, matrix, whatever, that when somebody said, this is what I need, and I'd like to meet somebody there, it would be like that person would have already showed up, and I had them in my file somewhere, or they would show up very soon, and then I could make the introduction. But I see that with all of it, as I've grown in my knowledge, as things have come through, as what I'm explaining to you as awakening and ascension, spiritual awakening and ascension. And ascension is evolving. We're evolving as a species. We're evolving physically, mentally, spiritually, and physically. Did I say that? Anyway, so as I grow and learn, then that spider web that I had the vision of as a little girl becomes more meaningful in different ways, and I can start to see different connections, how it plays out in a lot of different ways, a lot of different perspectives. And I think also, from that, sharing that, I want to just share how this might show up in your life, right? The other thing that I'm really good at is I'm good at seeing the world from a lot of, or I'm good at seeing things from a lot of different perspectives, whether it's a relationship, whether it's the world, what's going on, you know, in that spider web. I can look at whether it's politics, whether it's, you know, health, again, whatever. I just know to look at things from a lot of different perspectives, and learn from that. There isn't just, you know, it's not nothing is black and white. And that, you know, like quantum physics, right? So that's like the intelligence is out here. We just have to tap into it. And there's so much intelligence, and there's so much, once you start really learning a lot and tapping into that intelligence, you realize that you don't know a lot. And the more you learn, the more you know you don't know. So in the dark night of the soul, this is what you're going through. Like, oh my gosh, how I don't know this, what's happening to my life is breaking down, or this part of my life is breaking down. And, you know, it could be heart-wrenching, it could be physically hard, mentally hard, spiritually hard, emotionally hard, right? And, or again, you can have it easy. We've got that in the background, right? I don't need to say that anymore. But talking about most people tend to have struggles with this because it's a learning phase. It's a deep learning phase, and yes, and so those were the things that I was learning. I'm just trying to connect it so then I can move forward. And so everybody's here to learn something different. If you're a fractal of God, here to experience certain things in your life, then you're going to come down and experience that. And your life is not like anybody else's life. And that's what we need to get really clear on here. So not everybody's dark night of the soul is going to be the same. You're not going to go through the same issues at the same time, in the same way, and have the same conclusions. Everybody is different, and how they move through their dark night of the soul, how they move through their life is very individual. And I think once we start to get that, then we can start to see that everything, politics and how you view things, is very individual. Health and how you view it is very individual. We don't know what each person is here to go through. Only you know, only I know, only they know. What, as you go into the dark night of the soul, is when you start to discover, who am I? Asking that question, who am I? Coming to different conclusions, like you are consciousness, you are a fractal of God, you are unconditional love. But I can say that, and you know, if you can't hear that, you don't realize that yet, right? You have to go on your inner journey to figure that out, and to embody that, right? So the dark night of the soul is asking the questions, the deep reflections, the different awakenings in whatever area that you're awakening in, researching, exploring, learning, growing. You're trying new things. You're discovering gifts and tools. Like a lot of times when your intuition will come on big time during this time. You will start to see all your unconscious habits. You'll see how entangled you are with your ego, and how that ego is limiting you. So you're going to become more self-aware in a positive way, but it's going to feel intimidating to start, right? Because you're going to be thinking and believing you're those old limiting thoughts until you really realize that you are a fractal of God, you are unconditional love, and you are worthy, and this incredible being that's here to express itself in the world, right? And be unique and creative, and be creating. So in this dark night of the soul, you're going to be learning how to deprogram. But first, you're going to notice how you're programmed. What was the programming, the limiting programming that got you into this mess? That what was the programming that, what are the things, and meaning by programming, what are the beliefs, the thoughts, the actions that you've been taught through either through your family, through your culture, through your religion, through your spiritual upbringing, through your education, um, peers, etc., nation. What are the things that you're taught over and over and over again, and you never questioned? Media, the media putting, magazine articles, TV articles, telling you you're sick, telling you're not enough, you're not good enough, you don't make enough money, you're not doing this, you don't have this, you need to, shave with this cream, or look like a movie star, or be a sex god or goddess or whatever, be free, but all these things that they make in order like to keep you thinking you're broken, you're not enough, so that you're limiting yourself and not fully expressing and being empowered as to who you really are. So that's so that's depressing to, first of all, to discover that in whatever area you're looking at, to realize the programming that's been put in place in order to keep you from thriving. Or why didn't you know this earlier? Why didn't you have this knowledge earlier? Why aren't people sharing this knowledge? And to just see like, oh, things could have been different if somebody would have told me this, So we get to see things that have been passed on generation after generation. We get to see things that were put in place in order to make money off of us, like marketing, things that are, as long as if we thought we were wonderful the way we were, people wouldn't be able to be selling all the things that they sell to us that we spend a lot of money on, and they make a lot of money off of us from doing that. So anyway, you're gonna be discovering all the ways that you are programmed, and that's going to be shocking in itself. So it's kind of the initial shock, then there's more shocks, like, what? They can't, no, like it really, like it bothered me that I was marketed to and programmed different than men, and I always wanted to be more masculine because I felt they were freer and had more fun when I was a young girl, and I didn't want to be stereotyped into a woman and or feminine, and first of all, it didn't feel safe. And other things, that I saw in my mother and other women. I didn't want to be a servant to a man. I loved business and I was athletic, and, I liked having fun. And so anyway, it was just like, well, that's, and it went into business, and I was an entrepreneur before the word entrepreneur was around, but a lot of us women had been programmed that we could never be as good as the man, and we didn't want to take away the man's job and all of that stuff. And it just, the program, subtle programming and programming over generations, past lives experiences. For a lot of us, it's like speaking and using our voices, how we've been taught, don't stand out, don't make waves because something bad, if you were a witch, right? Like you knew how to naturally heal your body. which has been made to look bad, but it was really like you were in your power and you knew what to do to how to heal somebody. And then you were, burned at the stake for knowing that, or in some other time of life, whether you, whatever that was. And so it takes a while to realize, like, oh my gosh, I have been told to blend in, not use my voice, not to speak out, or it's dangerous. If stand out is dangerous, and especially for a lot of us highly sensitives, and we're already different. And then if feeling that if we stand out, and then we'll be abandoned. So there's all these different issues then that come in, abandonment and betrayal and all these other things that go along that create this fear in us. And so the dark night of the soul is going in and figuring out what is creating my fears. What is it that I'm believing that is not my belief? Like, since we just had the election, are you a Democrat or a Republican because your parents were and their parents were? So that's a very unconscious choice, unless you've studied politically what's going on and who's believing what, and that there's not one side that believes in one thing and the other. It's not black and white. And if you don't do your own research, then it's not your belief, but you're unconsciously playing it out, and that might not be a part of who you truly are. So you cannot be authentic. But what you're doing is, there's a belief that I have to be in alliance with my family, with my tribe, with my clan, so that I don't get kicked out of it, because that's the only way that I'm going to feel safe. And I'm not going to feel safe going against the beliefs of the political party, the beliefs of the religion, the beliefs of the culture, whatever those are, so that you, again, the number one thing for most of us is feeling safe, that we have safety and security. And when we feel separate and disconnected, we're not safe. So moving on. So we are going, in the dark night of the soul, you're going to be feeling more of your feelings instead of thinking. So one of the ways you've been programmed is that thinking is more important than feeling. And that is a trick. That is not true. Your thinking is limited. Your feeling is much more expansive and true when you get in touch with that. So anyway, that's a whole, so it's more inner focused than outer focused. And most of us have been taught, be outer focused, follow authority. We're always looking for validation from other people that we're okay. We're looking out, what do they want us to be? How do they want us to show up so I can feel safe? You learn that as a very young child. And so if you will go back, this is the dark night of souls, going back and saying, what did I learn that, and how did I change me, and conform either to the family, or I become the rebel and say, I'm not going to be like my family. I'm not going to be like my mother. I'm not going to be like my father. I'm, not going to be in like that religion, or etc. And then what happens is you're still not like you, because you are focused on not being like that something else, rather than living in the now, being you. So you might feel a loss of meaning and purposeness, hopelessness, lack of direction, doubt of your place in society, or in your culture, or in your family, or in your business, in the business area that you work in. So you just, there is a feeling of loss and disconnect, and maybe even, like apathy, like you just can't, depression, you can, depressed. And then because there's a sadness, and you start to get also how much you've pushed down. And so you're realizing that what's been pushed down, and that what's been pushed down needs to come up and just be let go. So this is where intuition and your psychic abilities heighten. You lose trust, faith, feel disconnected, alone, anxious, confused, lost, bored, apathetic. So, but as you're going through this, right? So you're feeling this, you're gaining knowledge, and it's like you have to go into and you're breaking down all of those false realities, false perceptions, false perspectives of different realities in your life that are not allowing you to be authentically you, that are not allowing you to see the world in a new way that would benefit you and benefit others. So what's helpful for these times, because this is really good, is that you journal your thoughts, your feelings, so you can start to see patterns. You can express yourself. If you don't have somebody to talk to, get a coach like myself or somebody else or a therapist, and talk to them about the things that are coming up. Unconditionally love yourself and have compassion and kindness to yourself during this time, and realize this too, you will get through this. This is not going to take you out, but it feels hard. But if you can have somebody to talk to that understands this and that can help you through the process, because a lot of times, I know for me, I can recognize areas where we've made deep vows in our life that are keeping us stuck, and that we don't even realize that it's not conscious to you that you made this vow. So that helps to be able to pull out a big chunk with a lot of little suckers on it, that and then help you process that, and so it comes so that you can heal, and not feel so overwhelmed or anxious about what's happening, and realizing that this happens to a lot of people. It's not happened to the majority, but it's going to happen for everybody eventually. And that it's confusing, but if you have somebody holding the space for you to go through this, and knowing that you have support, you're not alone, you're not disconnected, it makes it a much easier process. You learn to self-care. And so you learn these tricks from a coach or a therapist and stuff to how to take care. So self-care is essential. So nourishing yourself, moving, breathing, being in the sunlight, getting good sleep, drinking lots of water, really the nourishment. And most of us in this time of the dark night of soul, realize you have not been taking care of yourself. Most of us are just like out doing whatever, and it's like full on, and you're burnt out, or you're just not aware, you're not conscious of what you're eating, what you're drinking, what it's doing to your body, where you live, the chemicals and different things that are, we're in different times right now. So there's just a lot of things that when you're waking up, all of a sudden you're going to realize, oh my God, my food is poisoned, the air is being poisoned, blah, 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 blah. How do you take care of yourself? Liver cleanses, detoxing baths, to really, like, you have to pay attention now until we can clean up all this stuff, but pay attention to how to really deal with you, so that in a healthy manner, how to take care of yourself, so that your body, mind, body, and emotions and stuff, so your body doesn't get sick from everything, so that you're staying up with and feeling empowered to take care of yourself, rather than to get sick and get in that medical system that just is not serving you. well, no, just makes money off of you being sick. And so it's you empowering yourself to be healthy. Meditate, quiet inner work, the introspection, giving yourself time to do the research, giving yourself time to ask questions, being more present in the now versus in the past or the future, choosing love over fear, unconditional love over fear. I have to teach that. Following your excitement, following your curiosity, learning what it is to really be in the flow. So that's what the dark night of the soul is. And then the next step, the third, is soul spirit work. So it's as you're coming out of this dark night of the soul, but you're also doing some of this work in the dark night of the soul. So this can last months, years, decades, and dark night of the soul, depending on, again, that can last a while, or it can be fairly quick. I think the more that you have them, then you're used to, you know what to do, and you go and you do your work, and you can come out of it, come through it quicker, because you know to get support, the things that you've already done, or you're going to learn them at this one, and just say like, yeah, I don't want it to last as long as the other one. I'm going to get help on this one. So soul and spirit work is, who am I? So inward focused. As you evolve, you're building structures for you to grow and to learn and to transform. So it's just as you're learning the things in the dark night of the soul, as you're discovering different, whether it's crystals, right, or whether it's the coaching, whether it's meditation, the self-care, breathing, different energy type work, tarot reading for yourself, working with your higher self, there's all sorts of different structures, journaling, channeling, etc. You're going to be applying them in this third part. You're going to be embodying and practicing what you've been learning from the other and taking everything deeper. You're implementing new tools and strategies to be your truer, authentic self. So you're finding guides and teachers to help you. You're discovering tools that are interesting to you. So it's, again, use your intuition, use where you're directed, synchronicities and stuff. They're feeding you information. You start to learn on that, to follow it, and you see how you start to get in a flow in your life. Allow change to take root, and this stabilizes life. So you start, you're not as afraid of change as you were at the beginning. Of that, you might not still feel super comfortable, but you're feeling positive about the direction that your life is going in. You're feeling like you have tools, you have things that you can implement. You're more in your body. You're feeling more grounded. You're using and discovering your gifts and talents and your true potential. So you're becoming more aware of what you're here to do, and that you really love these things and you want to create more, and you start meeting people, etc. Again, you're embodying it and living it out. Your mindset and your personality changes because you are removing the old limiting way. You're removing the ways that people told you to be or asked you to be, or unconsciously created ways that you complied without really understanding. And when you're starting to remove those, when you're aware of them, then now you can make new choices. You make new choices in your life that are more aligned with who you really are and what it is that you really want for you and your family and humanity and planet Earth. You question beliefs programming, education, cultural messages that are limiting and not aligned with you. You're letting go, which is creating transformation. You become more multidimensional, meaning there's different powers within you, like using your intuition, connecting to your higher self. You might travel to get information in your mind or channel, etc. There's all different things. I don't want to go all into that right now, but you just become more aware on multi dimensions of how to operate in the world here. Your purpose, your mission becomes clearer. You're healthier. You understand your body's purpose and why your well-being is essential. You embody yourself, your worthiness, your love, your higher self. Like you're in your body. A lot of us highly sensitives get out of our body when fear and things come up. Or when we're feeling too much. We've trained ourselves to go out of our body and to be thinking more than feeling. And so when you're out of your body, you don't feel safe and you're not in control and you're not grounded. And so it's really learning to come back into the body. And there's all sorts of different ways you can do that and train yourself to do that. You become a great manifester. You see yourself as a creator. So you see, like, I'm creating this. I am creating. I actually switched my name. So Marilyn O'Malley, turns out to Mom and Master of Manifestation. So every time I wrote a check, when I wrote Mom, Master of Manifestation, other people thought I was writing it because I'm a mom. It reminded me that I created this. I created the groceries that are in the bag. I created, the paying whatever bills I'm paying, buying whatever I'm buying, that I am a creator. And, eventually I ended up creating and helping to create and with my partner, Jeff, create this house for us from scratch. So, and you just, the synchronicities and the other things and the adventures you just become really good at manifesting. It becomes easy because you don't have all those limitations and the blocks from before. Everything becomes a blessing or a challenge to learn from. Release what isn't aligned with your highest good. You have healthy relationships. You make new choices, and that creates a new life. And that creates a new energy and that new frequency that attracts to you a whole new set of friends, opportunities, possibilities. You're walking your talk. You have more empathy and compassion, but it's neutral empathy. It's like you're not taking on other people's energy, but you see yourself in others. You see others are fractals of God, here to experience their thing. So you're not judging. You're not judging yourself. You're not judging others as much, I would say. So you're learning all of this. You have your connection to yourself, which is, it's getting healthier. Your connection to others is getting healthier. Your connection to Source and God is getting stronger, and your connection to Gaia is very strong. So you have a strong connection to nature, whether that's the trees, the birds, the animals, dogs, cats, forests, etc., water. That's your connection, and you realize how much you don't know, and you realize how much you don't know from what you're learning. Everything you learn, all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, there's so much I don't know, because it's on so many different dimensions. It's not just this world we're dealing with. It is so much more. And you get out of thinking so much and start feeling your feelings, which is information to you. Huge amount of information. So that was number 3. And so number 4 is bliss and greater awareness. So bliss and greater awareness is when you're in the flow of it all. So you feel alive and vital and turned on and excited about your life. You feel connected and supported to yourself and others. You feel creative. You have choices, so you can create. You know, there's all this potential. So if you think this, you know, source God is also the quantum field, is also intelligence, and all you have to do is tap into that intelligence, and it gives you all this information about how to be, and or what you want to create, and you know, guiding you, and it's a fun journey. It's a fun journey. But so you feel experiences and synchronicities. You feel guided. You feel flow. You're in the now. There's ease and grace. You choose love over fear. One of the things I would say is, so anytime fear comes up, to say, I choose love. And the love is unconditional love. I choose love over fear. I choose love over fear. So positive emotions are more in your life than those negative, limiting emotions. You feel your feelings and you trust them. You have purpose, and mission is clear. You're living on purpose with ease and grace. There are no problems. There's only lessons to learn. Strong connections with your higher self, with your intuition, with source, with Gaia, with your guides, with the angels, the masters, etc., with the ETs. You manifest easy and quickly. You discover new things to create with your gifts and talents, and others to create with. There's collaboration, there's unity. You're a high vibe frequency, and it keeps growing. And so when it, with that high vibe and the frequency, you know, it's like when you're in the dark night of the soul, think of, like, you know, when you're tuning in a radio station and you're like in between stations, and you don't like the station below and you want the one that's right above it, and you're tuning in. That's the dark night of the soul. And then when you start to, as you're doing the work, then all of a sudden in this stage, this bliss and the greater awareness, all of a sudden you can tune into that station. Like, it's clear, the information is clear. And this is like a spiral. So you're at that station, and then you're going to grow even more. You're going to have another awakening. You're going to have you might not have a dark night of the soul, or you might, depends on what it is, but then you'll come back and you'll go through the spirit and soul, you know, learning and growing, and then come back, and you're going to raise your frequency and vibration again, and call in whole new ability to create new people, new places, new experiences in your life. Let's see. So you're more calm and peaceful and grounded and empowered and trusting. You're in service. Like, you want to share the information that you have. You want to share your gifts and your talents with others, because you realize we're better together than we are apart. But also you realize, like, we're one. We're all part of the one. We're all serving, whether it's in shadow or whether it's in light, that we're all a part of this together, whether this is a school or you see it as a play, a simulation, a game, you know. So we're all part of this. We're all playing in this, and depending on where you are in your dark night of the soul, in your stage of the soul and spirit, embodying soul and spirit, this will determine, you know, again, like, what level of school are you in? What level of the game are you playing on? You're tuning into your heart. You operate from your heart most of the time, and it's tremendous. Oh my gosh, it's like, you think that whatever you can love now, it's like going to go beyond. There's harmony of the masculine and the feminine. So there's a healing of that masculine, feminine, and coming together, and there's harmony in there. It goes back and forth, and both parts of the masculine and feminine within us support each other, and out here, the masculine and feminine are supporting each other. And you get comfortable being in the unknown. You're comfortable, like it doesn't bother you to be in the unknown because you understand you are supported by God, source, the quantum field, by your ability to state clearly what you want, and have the intention and the energy to create that, and you're willing to experience new things. You're willing to be in that unknown and see what is the potential. What is the potential here? And we are moving into that in big time right now. Let me see what my last thing is before I get. So what you desire to create in the world, you are aligned with energetically or are in the process of becoming that. So that is the end. And I want to say, so wherever you are now, we are going again into places that is unknown to all of us. And we have to start becoming comfortable in that unknown area, and be open-minded to the potential, because what's going to be happening in the next 3 years, we might not recognize who we had been in the next 3 years. There's so many things that are going to change and transpire, and I don't claim to know exactly what that's going to happen, but that's what if I was doing an energy reading, like we are in the potential, and it's how all of us want to choose to show up, and whether we can work together in doing this, it will determine what we create together. But if we're divided and we're trying to create things and we're thinking it's got to be black or white, it's going to be harder to create. Anyway, there's so many things that are happening, but that is what I call the 4 stages of awakening. I hope this was helpful, and it gives you a stage, and you can see how they blend into each other, and that you can have multiple things going on in different areas of your life. And it really does help to have somebody supporting you through those, or sharing, and they don't have to experience the same thing that you experience, but they know like the process and have tools like myself, a lot of tools to help you through that. And to I think the biggest thing, none of us want to change unless we feel safe. And so it's finding somebody that you feel safe with, that will allow you to change. I know that that's one of the things that all my clients say is, you are really safe. I feel really supported by you. You've changed, what you do with how you coach me and guide me has changed my life. And because they feel safe to go and do the work. And it's not me. I just share and the knowledge that I have and my experiences, and then they go apply it, and I'm I get to celebrate with them and cheer them on, and then also like deprogram, no, that's not what I wanted to say. Oh well, my mind's forgetting it, but go back over what worked, what didn't work, and do fine tuning. It's fine tuning a lot, and we are going through amazing times right now. And then we have Pluto moving into Aquarius in a few days, which is going to be super innovative, and lots of other things. So let's all learn to play together, do our own work, and create together, and keep the vision for the potential for the highest good of all concerned, and that we can create, a world that is amazing to be in. But again, what's happening with us is, you know, the dark night of the soul is actually what's happening out. There's the dark night of humanity happening out there, and it's going through a breakdown, and all the structures are like, that aren't working are breaking down, and or trying to stay together, and they're going to break down in order for us to build new, so that society, humanity can go through a rebirth, or it's awakening to what it's really wanting to be, so that everybody benefits from it. At least that's my perspective. Somebody in the shadow wouldn't necessarily, might not want to think of it that way, but that's all right. We can all have our opinions and then find a way to create together. All right, so I hope this was helpful. Until we meet again, love, live, and matter. Take care. Love you. Bye.